So Bryan Kohberger just had another hearing where his lawyer, Ann Taylor, threw everything at the kitchen wall to try to get the DNA evidence thrown out of court. Why? Why is that important? Because the DNA places Bryan Kohberger directly at the crime scene. They've got cameras, they've got cell phone pings, they know his path, they know he went by those kids' house, they know that whole area, but they have DNA at the crime scene, and that's a problem for Ann. Welcome to my channel. I am psychic Reverend Donna Seraphina. I'm a spiritualist reverend and a psychic medium. I did some readings early on the Idaho 4 student murders, and I would like to put in my 2 cents of what I think about Bryan Kohberger's latest hearing, how it relates to my reading, and who the new mystery confidential informant might be. And why I say new is I think that rumor's been floating around since the days of the grand jury hearing, but this is the first time I've heard it actually confirmed in court. So let's discuss that. Maybe it's a good time to talk about the guy with the red hair behind the phone pole. And here's what I said about this second guy who I believed, who I can only accuse as far as being a witness because I did not see him come in the house. Doesn't mean he didn't, but I didn't see anyone other than Bryan in the house. Or, excuse me, sorry. I didn't see anybody other than the killer, who is allegedly Bryan Kohberger, in the house. The confirmation that they're putting me in front of the house again. But I'm with him. Now I'm seeing someone with really red hair. Really red hair. I don't want to jump ahead of myself. It's like, oh, I'll go, okay, is he the one with the knife? Like, you know what I mean? This is different than one that was talking to her when she really wasn't interested in talking to him. And then I saw this other guy with really red hair, and they are showing him to me, and they're confirming with the spirit energy. If you imagined Paul Murdaugh's son that he's accused of murdering his wife and child, that kid, but bigger, a similarity in looks. I would say a similarity, not identical. I'm in front of the house again, just looking at the house. One of the bombshells is that there's a drop of blood on the banister that has not been identified. So Ann is trying to use that, throw that against the kitchen wall in her argument. But the judge points out to her that even if there was blood from a second person, that does not exclude Bryan, that his DNA is under one of the victims on the body of the sheath, of the snap of the sheath, that the knife that belongs to the knife or the type of knife that killed them. Doesn't exclude Bryan, doesn't include or exclude. Is it? Sometimes when you test blood, it could be inconclusive. We don't know the details yet. I'm waiting to hear that, and it'll be interesting to see how that fits in. And I'm not sure if it's the brunette or the red-haired guy. It's really weird like that. It's almost like, are they doing this together? And I got some spirit energy. Is there 2 of them? No spirit energy. Is there just one? Yeah, spirit energy, just one. Let's look at the stalker issue. Ann Taylor is claiming that Bryan Kohberger never stalked these victims. Well, maybe under Idaho law, he doesn't qualify because they didn't know who he was. So Idaho's law, Idaho's stalker law, is different than most other states. In most states, a stalker is an unwanted person who follows you around and makes you feel uncomfortable. In Idaho, it's a person you know, a person you've made a police report about, a person you've complained about to someone other than, like, say, a clerk at a store. Remember that? Let's have a listen.
So that I get it right. So
yeah.
Tell me again exactly what you remember.
Just more or less, I made a joke about them being in a group, and they just said, yeah, you know, one of our friends motioning to Kaylee that she'd been stalked recently, and so then had people constantly following her around. And it's not just a one-off thing, that this is apparently something that Kaylee had tons of issues with. That apparently she always had somebody who's constantly walking behind her like that. So, and it was more so at nighttime when they were out there drinking and stuff like that. Because I asked them, like, is it at school? And she's like, no, when I'm at night, going out to the bars or coming back from the bars.
To add further credibility to the issue that Bryan Kohberger had these young women in his sights is the issue of the pool party. On January 3rd, 2023, I uploaded a reading for Xana Kernodle's friends. In that reading, Kaylee stepped in with important information. She grabbed the sides of my face, like, listen to me, this is important. Kaylee, in her spirit form, communicated about being harassed at a pool party. 11 days later, Nancy Grace, knocking on doors in Moscow, Idaho, and Bryan Kohberger's neighbor, who worked part-time at a DJ for parties, described bringing Bryan to a pool party. What are the odds? What are the odds? You tell me. What are the odds? What are the odds that I would have a spirit person and claim that spirit person felt there was urgent information related to a pool party, and that 11 days later that would be confirmed by Nancy Grace? What are the odds? Okay, because what did I hear about Maddie Mogan, right? What did I hear in there? When Bryan was circling the block, I talk about him circling. I talk about him moving around and parking in one place and then going around and then ended up parking, and he's driving around and he's like, I'm waiting for Maddie. I'm hearing this in my mind. I'm waiting for Maddie. I'm waiting for Maddie. I'm waiting for Maddie. And what I interpret that is he was waiting for Maddie to turn out her light. He didn't want to go into there trying to kill them all if she was alert and awake. So he was circling around, waiting for Maddie to turn off her light, which is in the corner of the house, which when he came around those Linda Lane apartments, facing that upper part, not in the upper part, but just facing it, coming down the street, there's Maddie's room. He's waiting for Maddie to turn off her light. Have a listen. It feels like he drove his car there, and it feels like he parked it across the street and down 2 or 3 houses, facing away from their house, and he doesn't feel scared. He doesn't feel worried about standing out or someone seeing him. Or feels like he drives a small car too. I have a tiny bit of spirit energy, not huge chills. Okay, I'm not sure if they're trying to show me he parked a little farther, like up the street and around the corner. But if you were facing their house and you put your arm to the right, that's where he parked, and then around that first corner. I'm in front of the house again, just looking at the house. I feel like I'm waiting for Madison. I don't know which one she is, but I just feel like saying I'm waiting for Madison. Let's start with the main argument by Ann Taylor that Bryan's DNA on the snap of the knife sheath found under the body of Maddie Mogan should be thrown out. Interesting about that snap on the knife sheath, because on January 3rd, I did a reading for several friends of Xana Kernodle, and I am telling her that Xana is showing me a snap. 2 days after I uploaded that reading, on January 5th, the affidavit for probable cause to arrest Bryan Kohberger was released to the public. So my reading was up before anybody could have known about this snap. Why is that important? It's important because it lends credibility to some of the other things I say. It's important because it proves psychic abilities. It proves that psychics can be useful in these types of situations. And it's just interesting. I think she's wondering, like, if I really want her to talk about the other stuff or not. And I'm like, no, you can talk about whatever you want. Like, to her, this is my, like, I have back and forth conversations with the spirit people while I'm doing a reading too. And she's like, oh, really? Okay, even about my, a little, when you zip up your pants and then there's a little button or whatever that goes through the hole. Yeah, when you're my age, you just start wearing stretch pants. I even forget what the button's called at the top of your jeans or at the top of your pants or whatever. That's pretty bad. Yeah, yeah, that's what she's saying. She's either saying that or there's something about it. But yeah, she's got a real nice sense of humor. She has a really nice warm energy, and the energy that I feel of her is. I'm not saying she's at peace. I'm just saying her essence of who she is is really really beautiful person. Um, as far as like, she just feels grounding to me. She feels peaceful, like earthy. Yeah, she's nice. And she cares. I got chills on my eye. When you said everyone loved her, it's like, oh yeah, she's giving me big chills too about this. Let me see. Let me get. Oh, she loves everyone too. So then on the 5th of January, the affidavit for probable cause is made public, and it turns out this snap is the biggest evidence they have, or that we know about that they have, and that's the DNA evidence that was found under the body of victim Maddie Mogan. One of the bombshells in this reading is that Kaylee's bedroom door was open and that Murphy was in the room and that Murphy didn't come out or have blood on him. Okay, first of all, it's kind of insulting as a dog lover to hear a lawyer get up and almost want DNA evidence of a accused serial killer, Bryan Kohberger, thrown out, and somehow she's bolstering this argument with there's something fishy going on because one of the victim's bedroom doors was open and the dog was hiding in the room and never came out. This is a poodle mix. And it's pretty normal. Dogs get traumatized like humans. In violent crime scenes, it's pretty normal for dogs to hide. Okay, that's one thing. So let's just put that aside and look at the issue of her door being open. That indicates that Kaylee may have went to sleep in her own bed. And a lot of the information was put out early on by mainstream media that Kaylee had already moved, which was nonsense because I think it was Fox News that had all the photos they took into the window that showed that her bed was still there with the blankets and sheets and her stuff was still in the room. So no, she was not fully packed, or else she was going to leave all that there. Either way, there was things in her room. Okay, and so when you listen to my reading, it does sound like I say this other roommate got up and had a scuffle with the attacker, and he shoved her into the room and then pushed her down and did what he did. Okay, and if you want to hear that, you can look on my playlist. That is the upload from November 22nd. And this really actually confirms for me and bolsters up my claims that of what occurred that night. Kaylee went to sleep in her own bed. Okay? Kaylee went to sleep in her own bed. She got up, she heard something, and Bryan shoves her into the room and kills her. Shoves her into Maddie's room and kills her. Have a listen to this. What happens, so he doesn't really get to do his fantasy. I think she started to wake up or something, so he slit her throat too, just to, and then it feels like the other female, her friend, she wakes up and says something like, Maddie, are you all right? Or something. So he just goes right in there and stabs her and pushes her back into her bed, area, or back into her room. One of the things she casts aspersion on, she goes, oh, well, they searched the house once, but then when they went back the second time, they didn't see the latent shoe print outside Dylan Mortensen's room. Okay, when I hear that, I say, thank God Dylan Mortensen is alive. If Bryan had had more time, she would be dead and Bethany would be dead. They would all be dead if he had more time. If Maddie had turned her light out a little earlier. Okay, so we have victim Dylan Mortensen, and Anne is attempting to discredit her because she allegedly had some alcohol earlier in the evening and was asleep at 4 in the morning when this started, but woke up and was awake enough to try to call the roommates to see if something was going on, why there was all that noise, and texting with Bethany, who's the only person who answered back. And Anne wants to cast shame on her. She'll even go, probably, if watch, she'll go as far as accusing her of being part of a plot. Okay, this 20-year-old just survived a murder. whatever happened in there, you know, yeah, sure, she should have called the police. But if you think about it, if you move into a party house, you're the new pecking order of a person. Those other people are far more dominant. The police have come to this house on several occasions because of noise complaints. You really think you're going to lay in bed and call the police? And what does that mean anyways? Bryan's DNA is still on the snap of the sheath under the dead body of Maddie Mogan. Oh, and by the way, Dylan Mortensen, I support you. No matter what happened. No matter what. In the Xana Kernodle reading, there's about 10 minutes of what went on with Dylan. Some things went on maybe, but so what? And does that change the fact that allegedly Bryan Kohberger came in and slaughtered all her roommates? No, it doesn't. If you're listening to me, Dylan or Bethany, you email me, Reverend Donna Seraphina at gmail.com. I will do readings for you. I will help you, and I will not put any of them out until after the trial's over, or even never, if you want. Never, just private reading. I will do that for free to help you emotionally through all this, to connect with Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and some things that I thought were interesting about this particular hearing is we do have it confirmed once and for all that Bethany Funke did see somebody taking off at least their outer layer of clothing and putting them in a bag, I believe outside her bedroom window. She kind of saw, I'm sure she didn't open her window and put her face up, but she saw something going on out there. And she says she saw someone take their clothes off and put them in a bag. Okay, so that was confirmed. Have a listen to this. So I think he grabs the apple on the way out. Oh, he's going back out onto that patio. But then I see him going down the stairs. The fact that Dylan is confused actually leads more credibility to my order of death. What happened in the beginning was the media picked up a story and then they all repeated it. And it just became accepted as fact. And the whole time I was saying, that's not true, that's not true. I know that the killer went in the back door and went to the room on the left first, the one with Xana and Ethan. Then I say he passes the next obvious door. I don't know why he's passing the next obvious door to go into, but then that's when he ran up the stairs and did that. So Dylan sees Dylan sees the killer go out the kitchen towards the sliding glass door. I don't know if she could actually see the sliding glass door from her room, but that doesn't matter because I saw him go out the sliding glass door too. That's the point where Dylan shuts her door, because I say in my reading, he goes out the sliding glass door in the kitchen, but then he walks around kind of like in a circle on that patio, and then he comes back in the sliding glass door, and then he would have went right past Dylan's door one more time as he goes over to the stairs down to the first floor, passing Bethany Funke's room. So he goes down there, and I say I see the door left open. I've insisted this the entire time, and this is confirmed with what Bethany is saying, because first of all, some neighbors, mainstream media interviewed neighbors at the beginning, and the neighbors said that they noticed at like 7 and 8 in the morning that their door was wide open, and it was like freezing, like 12 degrees or 30 degrees, or it was just freezing cold, real actual freezing. And so that's why they remembered and noticed that the door was open. So my reading was already confirmed at that time, but people kept arguing because the only thing in the PCA was that Dylan saw him go out towards the back door. But I saw him do that and then come back in and go back down past Bethany's room and then out that door and leave the door open. Okay, the neighbors already confirmed that. But the fact that Dylan says she saw a person taking his clothes off outside her front door, it's cemented in. That was what occurred. So I don't think it's so much of a stretch for the naysayers to understand that, yeah, I saw Bryan circling around, going around, parking in one place, going to another place, parking somewhere else, and then coming up in front of the house and then going up the right side in the back door. How is that a stretch, and why do people keep putting out the information as if it's fact that he parked in that upper parking lot? Because he did not. The other thing, there's another thing that people keep putting out. Oh, that order of death? Yeah, no. So hopefully the state has it right. I'm sure if they have 50 terabytes of information, they have all kinds of interesting information we didn't have, but I wanted to add that in.